righty. Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. This is True Crime in the Morning. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos. My friends call me Sleuth. Today we are looking into the case of Karlie Lain Gusé. Karlie was born May 13th, 2002. She has dark blonde hair. At the time of her disappearance, she was 110 pounds. And she went missing from the White Mountain Estates in Chalfant Valley, California. We will get going here in just a moment. About 5-10 minutes, we'll get started. From the perspective of a parent, this is a nightmare. This is total torture. I mean, there's no clues. There's no local creep seen around the area when she went missing. There's just nothing. They have the night before, is what I call it. Party she attended with her boyfriend, Donald Arrowwood III. He didn't live in the White Mountains Estates. He lived down the highway quite some way. I mean, these folks live out in the middle of nowhere. She attended a party out there, apparently behind Highlands, and that I believe that's a trailer home, mobile home park. Sorry. Apparently, she was smoking marijuana. Something happened where she became paranoid, maybe even delusional. She started having a mental health situation. So this entire time, her family thought she was at a football game. Well, she lied about that because she wanted to go to this party with her boyfriend, Donald. Well, after smoking this marijuana and having some kind of a reaction, or maybe she wasn't being truthful, or maybe she was suffering from some mental health issues and this kind of triggered it, right? Who knows? But apparently she became frantic, paranoid, thought everybody was out, after her. She called her stepmother, Melissa, and she showed up and found her about a mile down the street with her cell phone flashlight on. She got in the car and was very distraught. Was talking about wanting to read the Bible. And we'll go into all these details here in a moment. But yeah, a lot of weird stuff. And early in the morning, she just vanished. Let's go to the chat real quick. Like I said, we'll get going here in about another 5 minutes. Good to see you, Beth, Cindy, Brad from Outside the Grid, Outback, D, Night Shadow, Danny. I said that trailer thing you did was very cool, Sleuth. Thanks. I'll try to make them a little bit better, but we're going to do that every time. Cindy Lean with the 9-month flex. Shout out to you. Anything I like. Good morning, Saska, Julia. This is a strange one that definitely needs more coverage. Thanks, Sleuth. This case reminds me a lot of the Mitrice Richardson case. We'll talk about that briefly. Thanks again, Cindy, for sponsoring today's live stream. I appreciate that. Dawn, good morning. Olivia, Jill, good morning. GP, what's up? Sorry to hear that. Hope she gets better soon. Positive vibes for you, GP. Sensei, what's up? Haven't even taken my coat off. Strike first, strike hard. Don't tell me off. No mercy. We do not train to be merciful in this dojo. Hey, what's up, Jamie? My good friend. Oh, my guy, Fig. What's up, Fig? Miss Fig told me about this case a week or two ago. The case is a mystery for sure. I mean, I don't have any answers. It's easy to speculate and be skeptical of all of the things that we see on the surface, right? The witnesses, the evil stepmother, they want to paint the stepmother as an evil woman. But the facts tell us that she was going through something, some kind of an episode where she wasn't quite sure what was real and what was fake. So we really don't know what was driving her. We don't know how motivated she was. A witness seen her waving a piece of paper around just up the street from her home. And then another witness, I believe it was a trucker, saw her heading south somewhere near the highway. And we're going to look at all of that in detail here. So here's the date of birth, May 13th, 2002, blue eyes, 110 pounds at the time of her disappearance, dark blonde hair. She was about 5'7". Her left nostril is pierced. You can kind of see it here. That looks like her right nostril. Unless that's just reversed. The FBI is offering a reward of up to $5,000 for information that leads to the location of Karlie Lain Gusé. Karlie Guse, a then 16-year-old female, was reported missing by her family on the morning of October 13th, 2018. Karlie was seen by her family at their residence in the White Mountain Estates area of Chalfant Valley in Mono County, California. During the pre-dawn hours of October 13th, 2018, at some time during the early morning, Karlie left the family residence while likely wearing gray sweatpants or jeans, a white t-shirt, and Vans brand shoes. Karlie left her personal belongings behind at the residence, including her mobile phone, which is very strange, right? What kind of a teenager is going to leave their cell phone? Karlie was last seen by witnesses walking south approximately 30 yards east of Highway 6 and 100 yards south of Sierra View Road on the morning of October 13th, 2018. A thorough search of the area and subsequent investigation has been unsuccessful in locating Karlie. She has not been in contact with her family or friends since she went missing. The Mono County Sheriff's Office and the FBI continue to seek information that will assist in locating Karlie. If you have any information concerning the disappearance of Karlie Lain Gusé, you are encouraged to contact Mono County Sheriff's Office by emailing them at karliegusetips@monosheriff.org or calling them at 760-932-5678. So we're going to go over some videos, some articles. That will serve as an overview, and so that we can get the case facts out there. Then we'll look at some mapping of the area. The only reason I have a bad feeling about this case, and I'll pull up one of these maps now, just so you guys have a reference of what I'm talking about. I mean, look at where she lived. And we're not talking trees, we're not talking forest, we're not talking vast mountainous regions. We're talking about a huge flat area that was searched right away with helicopters and infrared. So the reason I have a bad feeling, it kind of reminded me of a predator who has an injured, I don't know, gazelle in front of it. He can see it in the distance that it's disoriented. It's obviously prey, and something's wrong. You know, they're going to take advantage of that as being a predator. So that worries me that they didn't find her anywhere. We know in the Mitrice Richardson case, she was suffering from some kind of delusional. She was also having a mental health situation. Law enforcement released her in the middle of the night, and she just began walking. She was highly motivated about I don't know. I think she was talking about the Illuminati and Michael Jackson and all this kind of stuff. She was even somewhere nearby, like one of his producers or something like that. She was seen in a backyard not too far from where she was eventually found, and she was found up in the middle of this mountaintop, like in the middle of absolutely nowhere. So in that case, they were able to find my trees, but it was a much harder search, very mountainous, a lot of trees, a lot of wildlife. But I mean, look at this. A helicopter with infrared could see anything out here. Anything. That's why I believe she was taken or put somewhere where she couldn't be seen. So that is just one of my fears. I mean, why else wasn't she found? What's up, CJ? Charlotte? 63. Shout out to Fig and Miss Fig. Christine, good to see you. V, what's up? What's up, Ziggy? Good morning. Homie the Clown. All right, we'll see you in a few. Unless I'm already a few minutes behind on the chat. Sorry. Yeah, this is a new case. I've been looking into it for a couple weeks now. One of my members sent it over to me. Um, I mean, it's just a mystery. There's absolutely there's no clues. There's no leads. There's no nothing. The father and the stepmother were polygraphed. They were cleared. The bio mother is throwing some accusations at the father, the biological father, and the stepmother, who Kylie lived with at the time she went missing. We're going to listen to a recorded conversation between the stepmother and Karlie. The night that she was picked up at the party, she was, distraught, a little delusional, kind of bipolar, really. She would say, "Oh, you guys, you're going to kill me. And then I love you and you're beautiful." It's like hot and cold. So I think the scrutiny is, why didn't you take her to the hospital or whatever? But instead, she was recording the conversation so that in the morning she could show Karlie, like, "Hey, look, this is why you can't do drugs. This is what happens. And listen to this." But instead, in the early morning hours, the family started waking up and she just wasn't there. What's up, Frederica? True crime time in the building. Sylvia, welcome. Olivia, too. People don't just disappear, or do they? Well, they don't disappear, but I've seen and covered some cases where they can cover some land. They can walk for miles. But even with the case of my trees, I mean, we don't know if she was dumped there. We don't know if it was the same scenario that I was talking about earlier, the wounded gazelle theory. You have a predator who has an uncontrollable urge. We discussed these urges. It comes from whatever, violent upbringing and all these weird things. And who knows? It's psychological issues that these people are having where they become sexual sadist predators, really. And they're constantly thinking about ways to go out hunting and how they're going to get away with it. Well, imagine one of these predators just happens to live nearby or be in the area and sees in the early morning hours a distraught, disoriented young girl, no parents around, nobody around, begins walking into the desert. Now, I just feel like that weird, uncontrollable urge could just kick in. They're looking around, thinking like this is, from a psychopath view, like must be my birthday. This must be a gift from not God, but from the devil, right? So I don't know if we've seen cases like that all the time where they cannot control this urge. And then they don't know what to do once they've done it. All right, now what? Well, I don't care about this person and I don't want to go to jail, so I have to silence them. So hopefully nothing like that happened. But you're right, people don't just disappear. Fig says, yeah, I know this area. There are lots of truck drivers through that area. It's real close to the state line. Well, I pulled up some street view images off of the Bing map. And when I went up to this intersection here, that's all there was. They captured a truck coming and a truck going. Nothing else. Okay. So before I get too scattered, let's start getting some of these facts out there. Let's start with a video. Maybe we'll do a video article, and then we'll dive right in. Now, these videos were all created by the FBI. They kind of, I think they used kind of like a podcast style and like a little true crime coverage. I think this is really brilliant what they did, and allowing us to share it the way we're about to. So shout out to them for thinking outside the box. We're not even going to go in order. I'm just going to play them.
Living literally house to house from her, or next to her. It was like having, a sister every single day. Like I said, we'd go to school together. We'd come home from school.
Is that loud?
Either go to my house or to her house and have a sleepover. I was
It's like louder in my headphones.
More at her house than I was at my own. And it was like whenever I needed a friend, she was right next door. Whenever she needed anybody, I was right next door. We would have these adventures over by her old house.
Thank you.
And we would go out into the middle of the field and build a fort. And we'd be out there for hours on end until we had to come home to eat dinner. And Karlie was the only person that could, go and have fun with me in the middle of nowhere and, have absolutely nothing except sticks and a blanket and still have fun. That's why I miss her a lot. Being so close with Karlie, and when I heard that she was missing, it really impacted me. Because like this little town, nobody goes missing like that. And I miss her a lot. We were actually supposed to hang out the day that she actually got taken. Living literally house to house from
In 16 years of doing this job, this is by far the toughest, most frustrating case I've worked on. I've thought about this case.
Oh, sorry about that.
Every day for 2 years.
Now, I was just saying we'll watch a couple more of these videos, and a lot of the articles are going to be repetitive. But the reason I selected each one of those articles is they will have information that we can't find in other areas. So I just want to make sure we're getting everything out there.
I think about Karlie a lot. Think about her family. I think through scenarios constantly on what could have happened to her. And as a human being, it does start to wear on you when you don't know. I think the hardest part for a family and for an investigator is just not knowing where somebody is. With Karlie, where she went missing is a very desolate area, and to really just up and vanish like she did is it's mind-boggling. somewhere somebody knows something, and we need that person or those people to come forward. And so it's a difficult about a small community like this is there's a lot of toxicity surrounding this case, and there's a lot of questions and finger pointing and name calling and all that kind of stuff that comes with small town politics. But what really needs to be happening, what really needs to be the focus, is finding Karlie. And the only way we're going to do that is with the public's help.
All right, you heard him. You guys are the public.
Last time I saw her was probably at my mom's house. She was mad at me because I wasn't really. It was like the last couple days we were hanging out there, and they were in the kitchen, and I was trying to like be funny and shoot like a paper towel into like the laundry basket, and then she was being all mad. I was like, "Do you need a hug?" And I didn't have my shirt on, and she's like, "Ew, you feel like wet ham," and we were all laughing because of that. It was funny. Yeah, that was probably the last time I saw her, or that I can remember of it. I would always try to be like her because it was just weird. I don't know. Like, everybody was like, "She's not your sister. You don't look anything like her." But like, when you compare us, we looked a lot alike. And it's like, people still don't really believe that she's my sister. And I compare her as my sister anyways. Like, I think about her, and it's confusing because it's like life has just been normal, and it's like she hasn't even really been gone, but it seems like people have been forgetting about her a lot more and not really thinking much about her.
Damn. That's hard to hear. Imagine being forgotten. No, we'll watch one more of these.
Karlie first went missing, everybody was expecting to just see her. She would turn up, and the level of concern obviously grew over the weeks that progressed, and especially when the searches didn't turn up anything. I think a lot of people are, in some ways, it's the back of their mind now, not in the front of their mind, and resigned to the fact that we may never see Karlie again.
So we have about 5 more of those little videos. We'll get back to those. Let's go to some of these articles here. I think I put together a slideshow this time. That way you guys aren't just looking at this article. Put that up on the screen for you. Wake and cry. Yeah, this is a tough case. All right, this is from Fox News. It's titled, "She Wanted to Read the Bible and Said She Was Scared. Uncomfortable Questions Surround the Case of Missing California Teen." That's by Holly McRae. and it was published May 22nd, 2019. Good to see you, Anna. Yeah, imagine how many killers go free without even ever being a suspect. A lot of these truckers, over 500 unsolved homicides on our United States highways. And the FBI believes the majority of them are truckers and sex workers. I don't think so. Anything I like. Not from what I've gathered. All right, let's read this. This is pretty long-winded, but a lot of useful information to help kind of paint the broader picture here. Just 3 days before Wisconsin teen Jamie Kloss captured national headlines last October following the horrific murder of her parents and her own kidnapping, almost 2,000 miles away from the sleepy California border with Nevada, 16-year-old Karlie Gusé vanished with little fanfare and next to no trace. While Kloss was miraculously found alive in January, Gusé's tiny town of Chalfant and surrounding California counties Mono and Inyo, hope I'm pronouncing that right, have been left ripped at the seams with many more questions than answers. It has been 7 months, her mother, Lindsay Fairley, told Fox News. At 9:35 a.m. on Saturday, October 13th, I was notified by her father, my ex-husband, that she was gone. Gone to me is a huge red flag, and it has never sat easily with me. So that's the mother, and you can she's understandably frustrated. She wants answers. And the first thing that you do is you go to what's on the surface. So what's on the surface? You got the issue with the marijuana, the mental health, and then you have the interaction with the stepmother. Well, it's very easy to attack all of those things. Those things are going to be attacked first because they're right there on the surface. It's low-hanging fruit. So the task for you guys is to scratch the surface. We want to see we need to go further in. We don't want to hang out where everybody else is right there on the surface. It's our job and our task to just dig a little bit deeper, if possible. There isn't anything. We have followed every lead. Sheriff Ingrid Braun of Mono County Sheriff's Office, which is tasked with the investigation, told Fox News. It is super frustrating. It's an open investigation until Karlie is located. The ordeal began the night before on Friday, October 12th. Karlie skipped a local football game and instead attended a small gathering with her boyfriend and a few others where she said to suddenly have become frightened and erratic after smoking marijuana. Good to see you, V. Yeah, there's been some search efforts, Sensei, and her father did a lot of walking. He said he would walk sometimes 20 miles. He did that for 2 months straight before he had to tell himself, hey, stop before, you get hurt. What about the recording her stepmother made? We're going to watch that. We're going to listen to that, Olivia. I don't think it's anything. I think it was just bad judgment by not taking her to get medical help. But unfortunately for them, hindsight is 2020, and they had to learn with the absolute worst example, right? It wasn't just, she had a seizure or something because we didn't take her to the hospital. But now, everything's fine and she's taken care of. So you learn these things in hindsight. For instance, I had a buddy of mine He had a child who was having ear issues, and he was separated with his child's mother. And the mother was like, "Oh, it's no problem. I grew up with ear problems. It'll pass." Well, he didn't accept that, and I wouldn't have either. Well, good thing he didn't, because he took the child to the hospital and found out that if they wouldn't have got attention, she would have lost all hearing in that ear. But yeah, once again, hindsight is 2020. She's smoking pot. That's why she's acting strange. You'll laugh about this tomorrow, I promise, because I recorded it. You'll learn from this. But unfortunately, they didn't get that opportunity. They paid the ultimate price the following morning. Nobody would have ever expected that. Nobody in their wildest dreams would expect that to happen. You wake up in the morning and they just vanished. Who sees that coming? But boy, is it easy to blame her, right? Very easy to blame her. Sometime just after 8 p.m., a distressed Karlie called her stepmother, Melissa Guse, with whom she lived at a rural property outside of the nearest town of Bishop, along with her father, Zach, and 2 younger brothers, to hurriedly come and collect her. But as Melissa approached the location, she found Karlie already had left and was frantically running on a dark lane. On the drive home, Karlie allegedly repeated she was scared, changed seats multiple times, and was worried the vehicle would kill her. That sounds a lot like salvia. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. It's at one point it was just fully legal. You could buy it at a smoke shop. It's this horrible hallucinogenic drug. You smoke it and you completely freak out. It's like 100 times worse than acid or mushrooms or whatever. It's very high up there when it comes to hallucinogenics. It kind of sounds like that, but typically doesn't last that long. This is more sounds maybe possibly like meth. She could have been up for days without the family knowing even. So I'm not quite sure. I'm not a doctor. I know that they have an episode of Dr. Phil where he attempts to diagnose her, listens to the call, listens to, their explanations of the situation. And that's his expertise. So, I'm not a big fan of Dr. Phil, but when it actually comes to something he studied and trained in his entire life, I want to hear what he has to say. On the drive home, Karlie allegedly repeated she was scared, changed seats multiple times, and was worried the vehicle would kill her. Once home, according to testimony given by her father, Zach, and stepmom, Melissa, Karlie, whose pupils were hugely dilated, that doesn't happen with marijuana, continued to express fear and referred to the lettuce in her salad as the devil's lettuce. So I wonder if the kids were calling laced marijuana. I wonder if that's what they called it, because everybody's grandmother calls it the devil's lettuce, right? That's just an old term for the Mary J. So I wonder if they laced it and that's what they called it, the devil's lettuce. That's why she was repeating it. Maybe somebody asked her, "Hey, you want some of the devil's lettuce?" Now, in a state of paranoia, she's repeating those things. That night, Melissa said she made a secret audio recording of her disoriented stepdaughter so she would be able to later hear what she sounded like. Hi. A former homicide detective and private investigator, Michael Boone, who obtained permission from Fairley to talk to Fox News, said that the audio clip was the last proof of life, in which her voice was heard about 10:30 p.m. that night. Fox News listened to one of the 2 alleged recordings, which was 8 minutes and 45 seconds long. Karlie's shaking voice conveyed deep angst, saying that she didn't want to sleep in case she was killed and asking Melissa to call 911 if needed. The teary teen apologized and allegedly continued in something of a panic mode, littered with "I love yous" and "hi," talking to her stepmom, who appeared to have been calmly talking her down until 3 a.m. Yeah, she may have had some meth laced marijuana or something like that. As evidence in the audio, Melissa later described Karlie's behavior as vacillating between paranoid and excited, scared at one moment and wanted to paint toenails and color books and at another. Yet there was a seeming sense of something off as the stepmom exchanged text messages with Karlie's boyfriend, who was concerned about her state. From Friday evening to Saturday, we had several texts. I told Donald, please pray one time. Melissa Guse wrote to Fox News in an email exchange. Karlie was talking about going to church and wanting to read the Bible. I wonder if they were doing some weird shit over there at that party. She got freaked. According to Melissa, she spent the night with Karlie before dozing off. She told Fox News she slept beside her and checked on her at 5:48 a.m. Melissa clarified that she stayed there, and roughly 90 minutes later, arising between 7:15 and 7:30 a.m., Karlie was nowhere to be found. Karlie is described as 5'7", 100 pounds, with dark blonde hair and blue eyes. While there is some confusion about what she was most likely wearing on the morning, it is believed she was in gray pants and Van shoes. 3 separate witnesses, Braun said, confirmed having seen Karlie that morning, exhibiting strange behavior. One witness described her as holding a white piece of paper, which those close to her have since speculated was from a counseling session. The last documented sighting was of Karlie walking toward California 6. The prominent U.S. Route 6 stretches all the way from California to Massachusetts, weaving through 14 states by way of Nevada to Nebraska, Indiana, and then New York. Karlie may be disoriented and does not have any personal belongings or cell phone with her, cautioned the sheriff in a post on Facebook. All right, let's take a break. Man, this article is just way too long. That was only like the first part of it. A lot of it's repetitive, and I only have about an hour and a half, so we got about another hour left. So we'll take a look at this quick one here. Okay, we'll zoom down to this portion here. Party attendees reported that Karlie became frantic and uncontrollable at the party. No one could keep her calm or control her. Around 8:30 that night, Melissa received a phone call from a horrified Karlie asking for a ride home. Quickly, Karlie told Melissa she was scared and was booking it down the road where the party had been. Karlie was frantic and did not want to hang up the phone until she was picked up. When Melissa arrived at the destination, Karlie was nowhere to be found. Frantically searching, Melissa found her stepdaughter a mile down the road. Karlie had her phone, flashlight on, and was still running. When Karlie got into the car, she expressed her concerns and told Melissa that she was scared. Melissa has reported that Karlie's face showed her emotion and how scared she was. So I don't know what was going on at this party. I don't know if they ever verified if the marijuana was laced or if she was smoking something else. Let's catch up on the chat. Mono County with Mono County. Tomato. I think you'll survive. It's heartbreaking for her people. We all belong to someone. So much space, so many variables. I can't really imagine such a terrible, terrible thing. She had so much ahead of her. She was only 16 years old. And I know you got to keep hope alive, but you just got to wonder what the hell happened. I mean, why would you run away like that? What is the parental history? Why and how long was she living with her father and stepmother? I believe 6 years. She had been living there 6 years. She watched her new brothers be born. So she wasn't born into a new family. She was part of a growing family. And we'll hear from her half brothers as well. Old cowboy films, TV shows, as well as some sci-fi and horror films were made in that general area, especially near Lone Pine, California. Death Valley. Some folks thought the stepmother had odd behavior. Yes, you're supposed to have odd behavior. You should have odd behavior. If you don't have odd behavior, I find you very suspicious. It's the people that are, have it all under control and, they're injecting themselves and they're taking charge. Let's do this. Let's do that. Those are the people that are concerning. But if you don't look frustrated and lost and guilty as shit, suspect. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Something synthetic. Homie the Clown says maybe K2 or Spice. I've heard of people freaking out on Spice. You guys remember Garrett Kurtz? He said he was all twacked out on Spice. It's all chemicals. Uh, 63 says, agreed, Sleuth, if abducted drugs were likely involved as a strategy by the perp. I don't know if it was a strategy or catalyst, maybe. The fact that she was out of her mind from whatever the she was experiencing, the effects of these drugs, paranoia, delusions, the fact that she was under those circumstances causing her to go out and be exposed to a predator could happen. Two bad things just happening on the same day. Her having a medical issue and there just happen to be a predator nearby. I mean, we hear about the dangers. I mean, you guys, there's over 500 unsolved murders. They have over a dozen suspects. All of them are truckers. No solid evidence. So right now, the FBI is watching a handful of serial killers. They're just watching them. They can't watch them all the time. Now, if one of these sickos just happens to be driving by, and there's Karlie. 4 a.m, sun's not even up, nobody around, waving a piece of paper. Now, remember that day they were using helicopters, not drones, helicopters with infrared cameras. Not a drone. We're talking this helicopter that can cover that whole vast area.
When me and Zach met, I never thought
How would you miss
we
her?
would get married and have kids. And
That's her stepmother.
when I got introduced to Kate and Karlie, it was like, oh my God, these precious little babies. And then we grew into a relationship and got pregnant, got married, had babies. And when I had my first son, I'll never forget it. The heartbreak on her face. Not because I had a baby, but because we drove her and Kane all the way to Las Vegas to see him. And she had a temperature, so she wasn't allowed to go in and see her new baby brother. And just the heartbreak on her face and in her heart, and she was so upset, like, I can't see my baby brother. But sure enough, the first day when I brought him home, she wouldn't put him down. Definitely always a good sister. I do feel like
Mhm.
we're that damaged family.
Here's one of the witnesses that lives right up the street from Karlie.
When she was missing, I don't quite understand the whole thing. I was in my hot tub room. It was probably about 6:30, 7 o'clock. This happened a couple of years ago, so I'm just trying to guess at it. But I'd say between 6:30 and 7. And it was kind of chilly that morning, I remember. And for some reason, I looked out towards the street. I have big windows in the hot tub room. So I looked out towards the street and I thought, that's unusual. There's a young girl walking by. She had long brown hair. She had clothes on. She had a white, I think, I can't even remember, but I think
She
she
had
had a white
clothes on?
top and maybe gray bottoms or something. But she had clothes on. But it was kind of chilly, and I thought that's kind of weird that she would be there. And she was waving a piece of paper, like a 12 by 12 piece of paper. She was just waving it in the air and walked by. Now, later that morning, I think it was about 8 o'clock, maybe, I'm guessing, probably, that her mother says, have you seen my daughter? And I told her the story that I had just seen a girl walk by, but I didn't know it was her. Oh, that was her. I think you were the last one to see her. I said, well, I don't know, but I'll help you go look. So at that time, I had a side-by-side motorcycle. So I rode up into the canyon, which is straight over from my house, because I figured maybe that's where she would go, because I have 2 chairs set up in that little canyon, and there's a little fire pit there, and I shoot my guns down into the canyon. And I went over there, and she wasn't there, and by the time I came back, she was at my driveway, and I told her I didn't see anything, and she says, well, thank you very much. And that's about the last I really heard of the whole thing. When she was
I've walked, I don't even know how many
This is her
miles,
father.
just to look for anything, look for something. I mean, and it took me months. And then after about a few months, I had to decide I had to stop.
Another truck. Nothing but trucks.
Man, it was rough. It was rough going out there, man. It just because you didn't know what you were going to walk upon. Like, the best thing is not to find something, but if you do, just the emotion of the anxiety, the feeling of it, and the depressive part of it while you're going. And I wouldn't stop pushing myself. I just kept going. And God, just the feeling would be just such a miserable feeling. I can't even imagine explaining it to somebody whose daughter has been missing for so long, and then to just go out there even a week and to be walking out in the desert. And I mean, it's just horrible. Or a day. I mean, to go through one day was just miserable. It was horrible. I lost it. I lost my mind. It was gone. It was just, I couldn't do it.
Anything I like is asking, did anybody else have bad results from the marijuana? Not that I heard of. According to the boyfriend, he thought that maybe she had a bad reaction to it. So I'm not exactly sure. I think they know more about it. I just don't think they know anything about her disappearance. But I still think they should come forward and explain what it was that she was smoking. I think that could help in some way.
Just recently, I'm in her room right now. I just recently did this about 2 weeks ago because I wanted to let the light back in. I was tired of cutting her off and leaving her in the dark. It was a huge moment. It was, God, it was, I even put a sign on the door that said, "Do not open," because, I mean, all the investigation, you know, everything. And I just didn't want anybody to touch anything. And then it just stayed closed. And now it's almost been 2 years. And I just said, no, I'm opening it up. I'm done. I want to come in here. I come in here and I pray every single day. This is her high school. They actually gave her a high school diploma because her circumstances are because it's not her fault that she's not here. This rose right here, one of her friends gave to her at his graduation, and he gave it to her for her to come back, and it's for her. This is a thing of sage.
I should have said. I don't care.
Kind of told me, you know, a little guru about it, and said it would be a good thing to put in here. So I did. This is the Bible I leave in here for her. Here's a picture of us when I was hunting. I used to call her my good luck charm when we go hunting all the time. I'd have to force her sometimes to go, but I'd get her to go. And you know what? Like, more times out of not, I'd get a deer, and it was fun, you know. And now you got, I mean, this is like her tapestry she put up, and I don't know if you can see these lights. These kind of lights light up, and I know she put those up the way she put them up. And here's her glasses, and just some miscellaneous stuff that was right next to her bed. Phone charger, little microphone for your music.
Yeah, that was sad. Kim French says they were all on Dr. Phil. Yeah, we watched it together yesterday in the Discord. We had a little watch party. We watched the first half. Phil. They went on the Phil show, not the Dr. Phil. Okay, we'll read some parts of these other articles. Running out of time. Let's see here. Okay, then this one is titled, "Then Karlie Smoked Marijuana." It's possible that marijuana she smoked wasn't the purest form of the substance because Karlie had a bad reaction. This is in quotations. She hadn't smoked in a while. Her boyfriend Donald Arrowwood III told Las Vegas Review-Journal. It could have triggered something. It's possible. Soon after smoking, Karlie grew incredibly paranoid and was scared of the music and scared of Donald. Did he smoke the marijuana? Who else smoked the marijuana? The pair went outside for some fresh air, where Donald later said that she freaked out when he tried to hug her and started running down the street in the pitch black, telling Donald not to follow her. Before getting picked up, Karlie and Donald were outside trying to get some fresh air because she was scared of the music. Something terrified Karlie to the point where she frantically called Melissa back at around 8:45 p.m. and no longer cared about pretending to be at a football game. She asked to be picked up near where the party was happening. Melissa remembers Karlie saying, "Come get me. I'm booking it down Dixon Lane. Hurry, hurry, hurry. I'm scared." By the time Melissa drove over there, she found Karlie walking in the darkness. She says Karlie was pale and her pupils were really dilated. Unfortunately, the car ride home wasn't easy. Melissa says even though she was safe in the back seat, Karlie was uneasy. She would jump from seat to seat, saying she was worried the car would kill her, and repeated how scared she was. Even when they got home from the short drive, Karlie was still paranoid. As hours went by, Karlie's fear and distress didn't relent. Her family says that they remember Karlie huddling in a corner, acting afraid of her parents one minute, and then wanting their attention and comfort the next. She kept saying she didn't know what was wrong, but that she wanted to paint her toenails, color, and read the Bible. All right, let's go to the audio recording. Charlotte, it is absolutely heartbreaking. Anything I like is asking, how did the mother know that he was the witness? Well, when she saw that Karlie wasn't there next to her, she woke up and began looking for her. She actually went door to door. So she knocked on the witness's door. He said, "Yeah, I saw her. I was hanging out in here and she walked by. I'll help you look for her." Yeah, and I don't know, sarcastic. You think if she was picked up, somebody would have been like, "Well, yeah, I picked up a hitchhiker. It was Karlie." There would be all these people that saw her. And I just don't see her running away that way. It was cold. She didn't even take her phone. Very strange. This happened in 2018. She went missing October 13th, 2018. 6:30 in the morning. Neighbor Richard Eddy, who we saw up here on the screen moments ago, is the guy who witnessed her. He's the one that was in his hot tub and saw her walk by waving a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. Is that a clue? Did she call somebody to pick her up? Was it the counselor? Who's the counselor? Maybe she made a call and was told not to bring her phone. Anything I like. Had she smoked marijuana before? I believe so. I believe she was actually in trouble at school for it. I know she had recently been in some trouble at school. See if I can find something on that. I know I had some of that information somewhere. Maybe we'll stumble across it. No. I wish I would have pinpointed that, but because of time, we're going to go over to these maps here and talk about that. Here's a quick drone footage. Well, actually, we're going to listen to the call, and then we'll go to the maps. So that is her neighborhood. And right in this area down here, this is where she was seen. So she was walking in this direction and took a right and headed towards the freeway. Now, this guy who lives right here is the witness. He went searching out here in the desert. I believe he went out this way. To see if maybe she just kept walking straight. And here's a better view. So you can see her road right here down the middle. The witness here. And I believe he went straight out here to look for her. But other witnesses saw her up the street near the highway. So she most likely went in this direction. And you think if she was kind of out of her mind, why wouldn't she just keep walking into the desert? It's almost as if she knows where she's going, you know? So hopefully they look into whoever this counselor is. Maybe she woke up and called him, said, hey, you know, you're the only person I can trust. I'm losing my mind. Well, don't take your phone. Walk to the end of the street and I'll come pick you up. So I wonder if she possibly was groomed. I don't know if that would tie in with the drug abuse or if they just took advantage of her. But she was most likely abducted right at this point here. I mean, I don't think she could have made it all the way to these mountains. There is a road, a dirt road that starts right there. She could have kept going straight. Sarcastic says, I definitely agree that whatever she consumed was laced with something. Although weed has caused me to do some really off-the-wall stuff in a very mentally dysfunctional way. Yeah, I wonder if anybody just reacts to it weird. I know some folks are allergic to it, but I've never heard of that ever happening. But when it comes to synthetic weed, I have heard of that. Like things like spice. I don't know too much about K2, but I've heard some things about that. Maybe we'll let that play. Hold on, let me pull up the recorded conversation between Melissa and Karlie.
Melissa, do you want to take a shower?
Can you guys hear that?
Melissa, do you want to take a shower? If it'll make you feel better? No. You're gonna kill me. Karlie, listen to what you just said to me. What? You said you're going to kill me. Don't kill me. Why would I kill you? That's preposterous. That's ridiculous. I'm eating the devil's
You guys can hear that?
You're eating lettuce that I just freshly chopped that I bought from the grocery store. I don't know why. I'm just. Why you would think it's the devil's lettuce? Because I'm just thinking all these demonic stuff and I can't help it. You're okay. You wouldn't call them? Why are you looking at me like that? Well, you just said you wouldn't. Would you call them? 911? For what reason? If there was an emergency? If there was an emergency, yes, I would always call 911. Yeah. Why are you scaring me? I don't know. Just don't look at my face. I have to look at you. No, you don't. Is it because I'm ugly? No, you're not. You're beautiful. You're ugly. I'm sorry. I love you. I love you too. It's gonna be okay. Do you want to take a shower? If it'll make you feel better? No? You're gonna kill me.
All right, so you guys were able to hear that? Farmer with the 19-month flex. It's a pretty big flex, Farmer. So we can listen to it again if you want to. It seems harmless to me. I feel like Karlie was probably suffering a lot more than she let on. Maybe she was being as tough as she could, but was, going through it. But it was probably a lot worse than what she was letting on. From the outside looking in, it just maybe appeared that she was just maybe high for the first time. And it was kind of silly. Like, well, you shouldn't be smoking marijuana. I think that's what Melissa was thinking. That it's kind of silly. I'm going to show you this in the morning. It's just marijuana. You're having a bad reaction. But I think for Karlie, she was just being tough. She may have been going through something really awful. She was just doing her best to maintain. So it could have been a lot worse than what she was letting on. Possibly. Bath salts. I remember hearing about that. Got to work on that, Farmer. Goals, brother. Paranoid calling his mom cannibal. Wow. Okay, so this is where she was living at the time. Direction of travel. Witness Richard Eddy. His hot tub room looks like an add-on he built right here. Big windows in the front. Karlie walked right by him. Kind of stopped here for a minute and was waving, the paper around. And he just went search straight out here. So he must not have seen her continue down this road. Sierra View Road, I think is what it's called. And apparently she was witnessed again somewhere in this area. But who's to say she didn't just keep walking straight this way? Thank you, Farmer. Give a shout out to Cindy Lean and my guy Farmer, today's sponsor. Appreciate it, guys. Sensei says, poor girl. I think Sleuth is right that she was holding back on how scared she really felt and what's she really going on inside her mind. Yeah, I feel like she might have been being tough and she wasn't. I mean, if you think of cars trying to eat you, most people are going to really freak out. But it was almost like part of her was telling her, like, look, you're hallucinating. You're hallucinating, but you're still hallucinating. It's still, but I feel like part of her was telling her that. Like she was kind of aware of what was happening. Because most people would just completely freak out to where they freeze up, kind of roll into a ball, and then they need medical help. So there was part of her that was probably her subconscious just trying to keep her calm. Okay, now this is where she was picked up during the party. Boyfriend Donald lived in this trailer park home here. And this is the Highlands that Melissa's referring to. She says the party was behind there. So it was somewhere around this area. And here's Dixon Lane. So she probably came up out of this neighborhood through one of these streets here and took off running. Now she went in the right direction. That's, that's the direction that she would go, that Melissa came from to pick her up. But it's very desolate right here. It's a very strange area. We'll take a look at a street view here in a minute. And just to kind of give you an idea of where she was. So here's Karlie's little neighborhood. I think it's called White Mountain Estates. And this is the intersection where she was last seen walking south. So I don't know if that means she's walking back down towards this area or if she kept going straight towards this large mountain. Hello, it's me. Welcome. Violent and schizophrenic, schizoactive disorder, and DID. He's been in jail. Just released for a year. The other personality, anger and violent abuse, is my dad is Papa. Sad because he won't take meds he ends up with. That's sad. Yeah, I wonder if that's what happened. Do they know what it was laced with? Curious. I think I have the 911 call too. Hold on. Let's take a listen.
Melissa, how old is your daughter?
16.
What's her name?
Karlie.
How long has she been missing?
I last saw her at 5:30 this morning, and then a neighbor saw her walking down the street at 6:30.
Do you know what she was last wearing?
Skinny jeans and sweater.
You think she ran away or something?
No.
See, it's just weird because she says she was last seen. Oh, well, that's probably what the witnesses told her. I was going to say, how does she know what she was wearing? Last time she saw her, she was wearing a shirt and her underwear. That's what she went to sleep in. But yeah, she did go and talk to all the witnesses. Now, here's that area I was referring to. And this is the highway, a lot of truckers going up and down here. But notice the dirt road. I mean, who's to say she didn't just continue on? So if this is anything like the Mitrice Richardson case, now Mitrice in this scenario would have been found really far up in these hills because that doesn't look too far away. What is that? Maybe 3 miles? 3 or 4 miles, give or take. Let's go to Doris. Good to see you, Doris. So I wonder if they knew the house she was at. Friend of hers or stranger party. Seems to be a classmate. I think she was bussed in and went to school over there in that area. So if you do like a if you go take a look at the maps, you can see the large high school and the schools, the football field. So I'm assuming the party had something to do with the football game. Typical high school behavior. But I'm hoping investigators are spending a lot more time over there with that group at the party. Because she could have been instructed, not to bring your phone. Don't bring your phone. Maybe they were afraid that she was going to tell on them for something. Hello, it's me says, think it was PCP that it was laced with. I've never heard that before, Anna. So this is looking north. And this is south. And this is looking back towards her home. So she would have been walking up this street. Here's a close-up on that road. So this is just across the highway there. Do you think she could have just kept going and going and going and going, just right up that mountain? Let's go to Olivia. So why didn't the counselor call her parents unless they took her and never released her? Yeah, the counselor, there's nothing going on with the counselor. I don't think anybody even looked into that. But I'm just trying to follow that clue. They said she was waving a piece of paper in the air, and they believe it was some papers that the counselor had given her. Now, maybe she was talking to this counselor about, maybe hearing voices or something, maybe talking about her current state of mind. Maybe she couldn't trust, she felt like she couldn't tell her family. An uninvolved third party. Okay, so this is her street. This is the witness's residence and his hot tub room. So he was just hanging out in here, enjoying himself. And this is what he described seeing. Skinny young lady, gray pants, white shirt, waving a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. Oh, thank you for reminding me, Sensei. They must have done phone analysis calls and messages. I hope that they did, but that was something I wanted to ask you guys if you knew if that had happened or if you thought that they did that. I'm assuming that they did, right? Of course they did. It's probably the first thing that they did. Bad LSD trip. I don't know how long those last. Would that have lasted, far into the next day? I mean, really, that's the only clue is this sheet of paper in her hand. And it could be nothing. It just could be part of her psychosis if that's what's happening. Seems to be the case. So this would be her street, the neighbor's home here on the left. And he went straight out there. He took his quad or his dirt bike or something and went out there. Apparently he has a fire pit, some chairs somewhere out here where he's shooting his guns. So this would be her street. She would have taken a right because she was witnessed right up here at this intersection. This is that intersection of the highway that I showed you. Yeah, you hope they looked at the phone. I'm sure that they did. I mean, just the fact that they have zero clues, I mean, you would have to. They probably expected to find something maybe there. Maybe they did. She has her left nostril pierced. But for some reason, I think it's actually the right one. LSD can last for 3 to 4 days. Jeez. What a nightmare. Witness retired man is on the FBI website with an interview. Hot tub owner. Yeah, we played his interview at the beginning. Here's some search photos I found on Facebook. Can't remember what the group's name was. But this will give you an idea of the scale. I just don't understand how you can't find her with infrared cameras on a helicopter in this land. In this terrain, I mean, it should have been very easy. Unless somebody picked her up. Yeah, that's crazy. I've seen some videos of some police officers fighting people high on PCP. They look nuts. But I just see them like over aggressive and angry. I don't see hallucinating, but I don't know. I don't know much about it. So this is off of the Bing Maps, their street view. And notice the first shot I take, there's a trucker. I mean, it's pretty scary. The FBI believes that it's truck drivers who are responsible for the over 500 unsolved serial murders and the bodies that are found on our highways. To me, that says that the chance of her running into a predator at this very point, I think those odds are not that low. I think the chances of that happening are very high. Okay, now here's the case that Karlie's reminded me of. Mitrice Richardson. Let's take a look at this one.
Investigation into the death of Mitrice Richardson, and today we're already seeing the impact. The LA County Board of Supervisors voted today to reestablish a $10,000 reward. Eyewitness News reporter Veronica Miracle has the story.
Mitrice Richardson was released from the Malibu Lost Hills Patrol Station jail around midnight on September 17, 2009. This video, obtained exclusively by Eyewitness News, has never been publicly released. Mitrice, a 24-year-old graduate of Cal State Fullerton, was in the midst of a mental health crisis the night she was arrested for not paying her bill at Joffrey's restaurant in Malibu. Joffrey's employees called the sheriff's department, hoping deputies would get Mitrice the help she needed. Instead, she was taken to jail, but then released in the middle of the night with no phone, no money, and no way to get home.
I thought they were going to keep her overnight. Something is obviously going on with her.
They had informed me that she had been released already, and I was stunned. I couldn't believe that.
Deputies later said they never saw any signs of mental illness or instability in Mitrice that night, but it was clear to nearly everyone else she encountered at Joffrey's, including a large party Mitrice sat down with that night.
I said, well, how did you get here? Why are you here? I just followed the signs and the voices.
She was rambling. She saw the sign. She was able to decode the message.
In the course of our investigation, Eyewitness News learned that a $10,000 reward from the county for information in Mitrice's case had expired more than a decade ago. Today, the Board of Supervisors voted unanimously to reestablish that reward. Supervisor Holly Mitchell sponsored the motion.
For me, I remember clearly the case of Mitrice and really thought it was important to.
So those are some of the facts here. Let me kind of give you an idea what happened to Mitrice. Very similar to Karlie. Well, actually, we'll go through all these images real quick. Look at the area where they're searching. And this is right around the area where they found her. Restaurant she was at. Joffrey's. That's the officer who released her. But most importantly, look at where they found her. So it's almost as if when she ran out of road, at this point, she just kept going. I think I have a better map. Here's one. So she was released here, and she just starts walking. And when she ran out of road, she just kept going. Is that what happened to Karlie? Well, they eventually found Mitrice up in these mountains. It's her dad. I think that's her mugshot from that day. So another strange case, very similar. And she was on her way to a party. She had alcohol, she had prescription drugs in the passenger seat, an empty bottle, and she was on her way to a party as well. Out of California. Very similar. All right, guys. We are out of time, so I'm going to hang out in the chat here for another 5 minutes. If you guys have any questions on the case, I'll do my best to answer them. Anna, I've heard this theory. She could have been hit and killed on the highway, and a driver disposed of her remains. I mean, that's a possibility. I always thought that could have happened with the Asia Decree case, where she snuck out in the middle of the night and was walking down another busy highway where a lot of truckers go up and down. I think it's possible that could have been what happened to her. But I think what happened to Asia Degree is what happened to Karlie. I think something, whatever it was, mental health, lured out of the home, whatever it was, they crossed paths with the wrong folks, with one of the monsters that we cover, these predators. Frederica, that desert is massive. I just don't understand how she could have gotten far enough where the helicopter is not picking her up on the infrared. Explain that to me. I mean, she would have had to start running and then not stopped to cover that kind of ground. Sparky, what's up? Who was she with when she was smoking weed? Her boyfriend, Donald Arrowwood III. Yeah, I was thinking that, and I did mention that during the live stream. Anna says, if she contacted the person who provided the party drug, she could have been silenced to keep the dealer out of trouble. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, very weird. And I think that's the scariest part about mental health. You got to jump all over it. You can't just be passive about it. Like, oh, you're just high on marijuana. Like, no, something's wrong. Because something like this could happen. We need to learn, it's too late for the victims. They've learned the hard way. It is up to us now not to follow that path. We have to learn and not let this be in vain. I mean, it's already in vain, but at least for us, we have to learn from this. And if you guys need, anybody watching has any information on this case, the information to call in a tip will be in the description of the video. I don't know if she was on any medication, David. That's what I think, Sparky. That's the only explanation, is that either she's living and somebody picked her up, or she's no longer living and somebody picked her up and is responsible for that. I just don't understand if she's was a runaway or something like that. I mean, is it possible that she has amnesia? It just doesn't make any sense. I just feel like either she's wandered off and succumbed to the elements, or one of these dirty truckers picked her up. I mean, it seemed, according to the FBI, that's what these predators are doing. They become truck drivers, and it's almost as if, because of the amount of road that they cover, the land that they're covering, East Coast to West Coast, imagine the things that they see. They're running into runaways, drug addicts, prostitutes, and then also people who are suffering from mental illness. The throwaways that society deems not worthy, right? Not that Karlie felt into that category, but mental health If it goes unchecked and untreated, that's where you end up, out on the street. Sparky says, what the hell kind of boyfriend would let her just take off and do nothing? Well, apparently he did contact Melissa as well and gave her directions to the party. So she went to the party first, asked which way did she go? They told her, well, she ran that way. And then that's when she found her a mile up the street. So from my understanding, this Donald Arrowwood has been cooperative. And the father and stepmother passed polygraph examinations. And there was also 3 witnesses who aren't connected to the family whatsoever. And they all said the same thing, that she was wearing a white shirt, gray pants, Vans shoes, and was waving a piece of paper and acting erratic. All right, guys, that is going to do it for today's live stream. I appreciate everybody who caught it. If you could, please share this. Content creators, if you could cover the case, spread the awareness on this, but the very least, like the video, share it, talk about it, share the FBI flyer. I mean, who knows? Anything could help. Anything really. Just keep talking about the case. You never know. Somebody could get inspired. There's people that have really deep pockets, right? If we can inspire one of those folks to just mobilize a group to get out there and do something that nobody else is doing, that would be great. So if you guys are subscribed, consider becoming a member. Shout out to everybody who donated today. Cindy, Farmer, and I missed you, Ziggy. Thank you so much. So everybody who sponsored today's live stream, shout out to you and all of you members and everybody who supports my channel. And if you are part of the replay crew, you know what to do. Drop a comment and we will get back to you. And I'll see you guys again real soon. Thanks for tuning in to True Crime in the Morning for Karlie Lain Gusé. And just do your best to spread case awareness for Karlie. This is one of those tough ones. You don't know. Was she taken? Did she run away? Did she fall victim to the elements, suffering from a mental health episode? Yeah, I mean, there's just no clues. So just do your best to keep this case active. Talk about it on your Facebook groups. Share the flyer at the very minimum. But I do want to thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Peace out.